specific.
Oh,
This is public. Uh-oh.
Did you turn off already?
What the hell?
Her dogs, and it's like quiet, and also like she leaves the house at 6 or 6:30 in the morning.
Dang it.
There's a shared experience as opposed to like, oh well, look at you.
Dang it. Maybe we scrap the first 20 minutes and just start over.
Yeah, let's do that.
Do you want to? Okay, because I think I need practice runs, because I just like feel really nervous the first 10 minutes. I'm like, I just realized I think I'm thinking about who is listening, whereas I think you're just thinking about you're more present. Yeah. How do you think the podcast is going?
Well, I think the podcast is going exactly how we just experienced the podcast going is, we are a bunch of people doing this out of our own free time. And so, whenever things happen, like our producer and engineer's car breaks down and he's trapped in Gallatin, then it's left to me and you to figure out audio-visual stuff. And it just doesn't go well sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay. But I said that I realized that you seem to be thinking more about you're more present and you're very connected to the material and the domains and what we're talking about. And I think the past that you had does make you more comfortable. Sorry to say, like in the performance arena of like talking in front of other people. Yeah.
The pastor party.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of what that was.
But do you not? Do you think it?
Yeah,
to articulate to like have a message and to perform. Yeah, to get it out and to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that whatever 14 or 15 years that I spent standing in front of groups of people and like
doesn't go
selling
away.
an idea.
Yes, that's what you have. That makes sense.
Like selling an idea, talking about philosophy and the definition of words and why they matter and how to apply, different concepts. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah.
Well, you can pick up you've done like solo bits too for the podcast, like of just talking into the camera about ideas, and you're getting the ideas across very clearly and articulately and very well, so.
I'd love for you to do something like that.
I know you would, and that is terrifying, but I could try. I feel like I'm a different person in therapy sessions. I feel like I don't know, it's just something about the watcher, I think you might have picked the wrong person.
No, I did not pick the wrong person.
All right, but it's a skill that I'm hoping to master.
I wish that there was a way ethically to set a camera on myself and to mic myself in some of my therapy sessions. Because I have a perception in therapy that I am just the most profound person. Yeah. I say some of the most enlightening things. It's probably not.
Yeah, well...
But whenever you get that instant feedback of a client, and it hits them in the right way, and they're like, it's the
magic of
The greatest compliment I ever receive from a client is, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Oh yeah. Yes. Taking that to the bank.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just said my favorite compliment I just shared with someone was a client of mine that said, "Are you anywhere on the LGBTQ spectrum?" I'm like, and this person was. I was like, "I'm not, but thank you." I was like, "I wish, but no, I'm very straight." But it was just very funny. She's like, "I've been wanting to ask you, and I just didn't know if that was a weird question to ask you." I'm like, "No, it's not weird." And I'm super married to a man. Yeah, straight. She was like, "Okay, you didn't seem like it." I'm like, what a compliment. I don't know why. And then when people make fun of people with kids too, that's another one. When people are like making fun of people with kids and I have kids, or they're making fun of like skinny people and like I'm skinny, whatever, or they're making fun of what was the other one? Yeah, straight people. Like one of my clients was just like, "Oh, I sound like such a straighty." So anytime they're like making fun of a group that I'm a part of, I feel actually like really like comfortable, or I feel like that's some kind of a win, or I don't know.
Is it because they know you're in that group and they feel safe enough with you that you don't take it that seriously.
Like they know that they can make fun of a group that I'm a part of and not like people with their kids, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, they just know I'm not, I think it's a compliment because they know, that I'm safe or that I'm not going, whatever they say, it's not about me. I'm not going to be taking it personally. Yeah. And I think it's, I don't know, it's some kind of like invitation that they're like, yeah, you're cool. Like you're whatever, but you're okay. Anyways. Got a question? That's a good one.
I spend too much time worrying about
what?
How to answer this question?
Yeah, I mean, how to answer this question? Like, I wanted to say, my first thought was what people think of me, because historically in my 30 plus years of life, that has been the main thing that I have spent way too much time worrying about. And now tiptoeing closer to 40, I feel like I care way less and I'm doing things that are evident. I'm investing in that, like doing improv and being like bad at it or whatever, doing like I care a lot less, but I still care. And so I probably still do spend too much time worrying about if people like me, if they think I'm smart or good at fill in the blank, maybe. But it doesn't like keep me up anymore. I don't know. It doesn't. I've done a lot of work on that.
Mine doesn't keep me up at night, but it certainly informs a lot of my decision making and thinking. So the one that I spend too much time worrying about is in the same like lane, and it's like, how do I compare to other men?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, am I as impressive as these other men that I know that seem to like be super successful at work, or they're a little bit older than me, and so like, you know, they have, they've just had a little bit more time to rack up achievements and experiences and things like that. So
isn't that funny that those are both like very gender socially prescribed, like me wanting people to like me and you wanting people to see you as powerful or successful, respected.
Or
Those are things that very much what our little kid selves were like.
Oh God, it's super historical with me of like, I wanted so badly to like just be impressive. So a lot of my personality came out of like, well, if I'm the smartest, or if I'm the first to answer the question, or if I'm the fastest, or if I, like just being noticed as special. And that has, like there was a time in high school I wore suspenders. Like that was it. That's cool. That's all I had, right? But it was just, even that, like that is silly and as awkward as that is, it was still something that got me noticed. Right? And as I've gotten older, like in college, I wore a bunch of like yellow shirts where people like referred to me as like yellow shirt guys. What? I just random. I like the color yellow, and like so like bright yellow. Yeah, it was like I had like a yellow T-shirt and a yellow polo and a yellow button down. Yeah. And once I got noticed, I didn't do it on purpose, but once I got noticed for it and I got tagged as the yellow shirt guy, I was like, oh, I'm going to lean into that, and that will be some of the attention that I will get. And so my whole life, I've spent too much time worrying about, like, how do I get noticed? How do I get... And now it's even beyond just getting noticed. It's like, how do you get recognized? To where I don't want to just be noticed for being, like, standing out as weird. I want to be recognized. I want people to know me, and I want people to, like, take notice of the things that I'm doing. And, so I'm very driven by notoriety. Hence... I don't hide it. That's fine.
Yeah, no, you embrace it. I respect and appreciate that about you, that you embrace it. You're
and I think because I embrace it, it keeps me up at night less.
Yeah, I think me too. Like I'm pretty open about the fact that like with people I supervise that I like want. Like I want to be liked. That I think leaning into it, being open about it is like gives it a little less power. It's like, if it seems like I want to be liked, it's because I do want to be liked. So don't think that I don't know that I want to be liked and you don't have one or whatever it is. Like it's some kind of like owning it or taking it back and being like, it's a thing.
I think for a long time I tried to suppress that part, or that truth that I want people to respect what I'm doing. I want people to think I'm impressive. And so whenever I was coming up in the church, like there was this idea or this, I don't know, it was like some phenomenon of like if you were saved from the most, right? Like if you drank and you did drugs and you lied and you cheated, and like if you could paint yourself as the worst possible and then God saved you and now you're not those things, then that was even a part of it.
I've seen that in like people I know whose church community, like I went to a neighborhood event that had a connection with a church, and it was like really a person was like, they used to be a drug, this, or like she was a prostitute, you know, and they're like, they were wearing that really, I didn't know that was what it was about. I thought it was about like, look how amazing God's work, miracle or whatever.
For me, I can't speak for other people, but for me, truly, it was like, yeah, look how much God has done in me. But it was like, but also like I made the decision and I'm the one following the path and I'm the one doing the ministry. And so even like it is just morphed in me. And so now my current state of wanting people to admire the things that I'm doing and to respect me for like my accomplishments is like the way that I build my business, the Switchback Counseling, the podcast, you know, like but I embrace it and I don't try to like lie to myself and say, well, that's not a part of how I want to experience myself. I do want to experience myself as putting myself out there, and I'm becoming less and less dependent emotionally on like the instant feedback from like random strangers on the internet. And I'm starting to lean more into like, oh, if my kids think this is cool, then that has more weight with me. Or if my wife compliments me, or if my in-laws think something's cool. Or, you know, like that is more important to me than, again, like the random likes or comments from strangers.
Well, the desire for the random likes or comments probably is, like you said, historical from like being on campus and literally not being known and wanting to be known. Like that hits that that hits that need like a lot. It's like ding ding ding, like a person I don't know said this thing about me, but you're saying that I think it also describe like just a shift in your values, probably. Yeah,
so now I'm thinking we're having this conversation about values. I value experiencing myself as being admired.
Yeah.
What domain does that fall in? Is that relational? And actually, if I go into like the real strict way that I try to guide clients, if I guide myself in that same way, the question is not how do I want other people to experience me. That can't be the first question because then I'm dependent on something I can't control. So how do I want to experience myself? If I want people to admire me, then I have to experience myself as taking risk, or I have to experience myself as disciplined. I have to experience myself as courageous.
Was that like is there a self energy type of like a IFS sort of like there's something in what holds all the domains together is self, and like you can fill in the blanks of how you want to experience yourself in all of the, because it goes in all of the areas, right? Like you wouldn't want to experience yourself as courageous in vocational but not in marital, right? Like it's all
you're getting at something. Maybe there's like your core values that. So whenever I've imagined a diagram of the 8 domains, I've always imagined it as like an 8-circle Venn diagram because they all are overlapping. But that center overlap, that is like your core self. When you're in balance with all of these 8 domains and you're experiencing yourself the way you want to experience yourself in all 8 of these domains, your investments are balanced. That core experience that you get to have with yourself, that's probably what you're talking about. You're integrated.
The word is integrated that I keep thinking of because that's why the podcast, one of the reasons I think the podcast is stressful to me so far when I think about being seen or people listening, it's because, well, my family will, like I think that up until my 30s or maybe, I don't know, I think I just feel like there are different parts of myself that I bring forward in different relationships or areas, and even with clients, like one client to the next. I don't know that you do it as much. Maybe you do.
I don't know.
But like I feel like some clients I have like cuss a lot or I'll like whatever, and then other ones like don't. But I'm not being fake or phony, but I'm just being like, I'm being what is it?
Tailored?
Yeah, tailored, or it's like
Curated?
Yeah, curated maybe, or respectful to like I'm mirroring, or like I was texting with a client yesterday, joking about, not texting, like chatting, it was very specific to, I was asking her if, this is kind of funny, and I was asking her if the interns could sit in on a session, and then I said, hey, I was wanted to let you know, no rush, you can get back to me whenever you want. And then the person got back to me and said, hey, that would be great, yeah, they can sit in with me. And then I found out that the interns aren't here on Mondays, so I responded to that client and said, never mind, these hoes aren't even in the office on Mondays. And then she said she laughed so hard. I know.
The interns here, you call them.
I know, but I think they'll think it's funny. I hope they think it's funny. I actually don't know them very well, so but I think they'll think I hope they'll think it's funny, because it's like so ridiculous. But the client laughed so hard, and she's like, I screenshotted that, and I sent it to my mom, and I showed my boyfriend, because I just thought it was so funny. But I wouldn't talk like that with any other, like not every single one. So I think it's like a skill, but it makes me nervous in this sense, in like the being seen in this, like I don't feel fully integrated in that, or I don't know, there's something there that I can't quite figure out, but I don't want to seem fake. That's a very important value of mine, to not be fake.
You want to experience yourself as authentic,
honest and authentic.
Yeah. And so
I don't want anyone to feel tricked, like, oh man, she cusses like a sailor, she doesn't or is she, I want people to feel comfortable, but yeah, integrated is like a word I've been wrestling with for a while.
Yeah. So the thing that you brought up is, maybe there are core values of obviously I want to experience myself as honest or courageous. Like I've said that the foundation of mental health is agreeing with everything that is true. Mm-hmm. And so that means that like I have to agree with the good parts of me, I have to agree with the bad parts of me, I gotta agree with all parts of me that are true. I can't believe that I can do things that I can't do, right? But I also can't believe that I can't do things that I can do. So I have to agree with everything that is true. And in the center of that is I have to agree that I do want to experience myself as respectable. So I have to be respectable. I do want to experience myself as safe. So I have to be safe. So maybe there are like some core values as this whole 8 domains thing evolves, because, we get to do that. And then there are maybe domain specific values.
Oh, yeah.
Because like my, domain specific value in the physical domain is like, I want to experience myself as, free from pain and lethargy. Like that's a consequence I want to experience. I want to specifically be able to move my physical body the way I want to for as long as possible. So I don't know that translates into like, that's a very specific. But I think in the conversation there are trends. There are like unifying values that are a part of all of them.
Yeah, it seems. I think. Well, it sounds kind of like self-actualization too. Like if you can figure out a way that if you're aware enough, because the goal of the goal is awareness of like where their values are and where they're not. Did it turn off?
I don't know.
Okay.
Hold on a second. I don't see like a red light.
Oh yeah.
Because then if that's the case, no, it says it's recorded.
Well, look at that.
Know.
Ryan, we need you.
Ryan, we need you.
Get on your bike and get back down here. I don't remember what to say anyways. Yeah, so you just built a new layer of the 8 domains.
So what?
Another layer. Do you worry about being integrated or being the same? And are you the same? Are you like literally the same person in all settings?
No.
You're different in every?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
You seem very similar in these settings. Like, in this space, are you... You don't have to answer that.
No, I'm not going to answer that. Like, for instance, yesterday at jiu-jitsu, Milton and I were like basically joking around like a couple of 8th graders.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Like being silly, making fun of our anatomy, boy, like childish, jokey shit, right? And I'll crack jokes, and sometimes they're a little like risque and crude, and I'll like test people out in that setting. But then here, like I would never in a million years.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes sense.
Because it's professional.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Different modes. That's somebody I was working with was calling it. We were talking about parts, like parts work and different parts. And he's like, I don't call it parts, but I call it modes. Like I get in work mode, and it's really hard to switch from work mode to family mode. And like my mind is always in work, or like when I'm in family, I'm trying to be present in family mode, but like my mind just keeps wandering to. But that's the 8 domains. Is that what it's called? Does it feel like modes to you? It's like different, or does it feel like different parts of you, or does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, the therapist part of me is a vastly different part of me than the jiu-jitsu part of me.
Yeah.
But when people ask me a question, it's almost like the cadence, the tone, the volume, the facial expressions, the posture changes. Like I will step into therapist mode, or it's almost like professor mode, where I'm just explaining and teaching and. Yeah, so I mean, I think modes is maybe a good way of experiencing.
Are you in therapist mode at parties? Because I try not. I actually work hard not to talk about my job because I love it so much that if anybody lets me, I'll just like talk about it with I could go on, and I find that to be annoying. I don't want to be annoying. It's important to me.
One of the biggest arguments my wife and I got into was a long, long time ago. We went to this party. It was a friend group. And so like Amy and I had just gotten married, I think we were married, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm like an outsider coming into her friend group, and it's a dinner party, and it was fine. Like I found a couple of little people that I could talk to and ask questions. And so at parties, I'm center of attention.
Oh, were you quiet?
I am quiet. To the point that my wife thought that I was just like being
like people
rude.
Really?
Because I was sitting at the end of the table, and everyone paired off on the sides, and I didn't want to like jump into this conversation that my wife was having about like a serious event that was going on in her life that she was finding connection with this other person about. And then I didn't also want to like jump into this conversation that these people were having that I didn't know anything about. They were talking about some business or tech company thing. I had no clue what to say. And so I just kind of sat there, and it was like an excruciating 45 plus minutes of me just sitting there. My wife was like, afterwards, she was like, you just shut down and you're just so rude. And I'm like, I didn't have anything to say. And so, in a party setting, if it's not,
depends.
It
all depends.
I find like 1 or 2 people to talk to at a time. Whereas when I'm here, I'll chit chat and hold court with, whoever.
Yeah.
Like when we had our Christmas party, I just kind of sat there and people were around me, and I was interacting with a bunch of people. But I also feel very comfortable here.
Yeah.
This is kind of like
your company.
One of the places I feel the most comfortable.
Yeah. Names on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, I belong.
Names
I
on the
belong
door.
I pay the rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So am I the same? No, I'm not the same.
Do you admire that in people I think it's like a really admirable, aspirational type thing. Like I feel like that's when to be like rude and different, or I don't know, not to be, you obviously bring different parts of yourself forward, but like.
I think the core me exists.
Yeah.
So again, going back to like core values, the way that I want to experience myself as being kind and being safe and being respectable and being
generous. I know.
Generous, right? Like I can do that in all of my different interactions with the world. But how I show up, the energy I bring, the personality I bring, the playfulness, the level of humor, that changes.
Yeah.
right? Like my sense of humor with my wife is very different than the sense of humor I have with my 16-year-old.
Yeah, for sure.
But I still just want to be engaging and funny and connect and laugh.
Yeah.
And intimate in that way.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
sense.
The values are the same, but the implementation of living out those values change given the setting.
That makes sense, yeah. Yeah, I get it. I think, my values are consistent in all the, like, love. I love people. I love being with people. I love talking to people. But then I don't want to be, I don't know if this is maybe also a gendered thing of just, like, being too much, like, is a worry that I think women more often carry.
I think that's more common with women.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like, my thing was, like,
you were worried about not being enough.
Oh, I'm not enough. I'm not, like in sports, which when you're a boy, getting picked last is a death sentence, right? But so I was never picked last, but I was also never the best on the team. Like I didn't make all-stars in baseball or basketball. I wasn't big enough for football. I wasn't really fast enough to keep up with track. And so it was just always that, like being like mediocre. I could hang in the middle of almost any sport that I tried. And that was not okay. Because you don't get noticed that way.
Yeah.
So I found other ways to get noticed. Yeah.
Wearing yellow.
You want to do another one?
What do you got? Yeah.
All right. I'm envious of people who...
I think I just said it. People who are themselves in all areas and are confident and articulate and can say what they're saying in few. They don't have to say as many words as I might have to say sometimes. Like I envy. That sounds very self-down on my, but I envy that. I envy people that are. Is it what would you do? What would you call that? Are just articulate, are clear.
I don't know.
Who? Yeah. I envy like smart people. I really.
You're smart.
Thanks. I think so. I didn't think I was for the longest time, but now I do. I think I am now.
Yeah.
I thought I was. That was that ADHD, like undiagnosed ADHD thing. That I was like pretty sure I was not that smart, but I worked hard enough. So I was like, oh, if anybody like really knew. Like I keep I'm told I'm smart, but I don't feel that smart because I can't find my keys or I can't find my, like so many stupid things that I might still do. Now I have a lot of hacks for that. You know, I have whatever trackers and systems and whatever, but yeah, I always thought I thought a smart person, if they wanted to make their bed in the morning, they would just make their bed in the morning. And so the fact that I like would forget all the time or whatever, I think I made up for that by excelling in school, like working even harder in school, and then I had to go to a good school and a good grad, whatever. But yeah, I've always like admired intelligence, and that's a compliment. I think if anybody's like, "Oh, you're really smart," I'm like, that one never. I'm always like, yes. Like, is that an important one to you? Do you want to be seen as intelligent, or what are you envious of? Yeah.
What am I envious of?
Was that what the question? Say the question again.
I am envious of people who, and my first response was...
Success.
No. I am envious of people whose kids are grown.
Yeah.
I love my kids.
Yeah.
But
that's a lot of work.
I think one thing that no one in my family really understands...
See, you're not afraid.
I'm not going to say anything bad.
Yeah.
Like, my wife understands this to some degree because, like, our experiences are kind of flip-flop. Like, when she is at work, she's so, like, under the schedule. Like, she has people scheduling things for her, and she has to, like, fight to get break times, and she has to fight to get, like, this time blocked off so that she can just go to an appointment, and she has to schedule out 6 weeks, and, like, it's a very structured, very high demand, fast-paced, low control experience that she's in. And so when she comes home, it's, like, opposite day. Like, she's with her daughter, and she's with her stepsons, and her husband, and her dogs, and it's, like, quiet, and also, like, she leaves the house at 6 or 6:30 in the morning.
Dang it.
So, like, she's at work, and it's crazy. She comes home, and she leaves at 6 in the morning, and then she gets home at sometimes 5:30, 6. And so I understand as her partner that there's not a lot of time for her to actually take care of herself. And so imperfectly, but we do try to talk about it and work it out. But we're like, when she comes home, we try to prioritize, like, I'm cooking dinner. I've been like with Miriam probably since 4 or 4:30, you know, and we're cooking dinner together and whatnot. So Amy goes and works out, and the point is like, when I go home, that actually feels like work.
That's second shift.
Because I'm taking care of kids. I'm taking care of dogs. I'm taking care of, you know, cooking and cleaning up after dinner, so that, because I get so much flexibility during the day that my wife doesn't get. And so I know that that's kind of a very, like, a lot of people would look at my life and be like, well, I would love to go to jujitsu in the middle of the day for 2 hours on 3 days a week. Yeah, I get it. But then whenever I go home, I make up for it. Like, I'm like, my time is not mine when I'm at the house at all. My wife is good about asking, but then I have this guilty feeling of I got to go to the gym, or I got to go to jujitsu, or, you know, I had an hour-long break in the middle of the day because a client didn't show up or whatever. So when I'm at home and Amy does ask, like, well, what do you need? How can we as the family, like, help you? And I'm just like, I got it. Right.
Yeah.
And I know that it's not, I truly don't want my kids to grow up fast. But whenever I look at, like, I've got this buddy, his name is Jeff. He's at jiu-jitsu. He's only like 6 or 7 years older than me. But his kids are grown, and
it's like,
he I don't know, like,
it's like Mark over there. He's working with his, like, son, and I'm just like, that sounds awesome. You guys just hang out and have food together, and like,
Jeff.
I'm looking forward to that for sure. My girls like go on trips with them when they're older. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, like, I don't know what day it was. It was Saturday. I got to go to jiu-jitsu on Saturday, which is awesome. It was like a bonus, and Jeff was just like, hey man, it's like a really good day for like a beer on a patio. You think you can get away this afternoon? I'm like, no. I have to go home and put a toddler to bed after taking a shower, and then I gotta order groceries, and then I gotta go, you know.
Oh, once they go to bed, that's third shift.
Oh,
like,
my God.
First shift is the paid job, second shift is the evening, and then third shift is once they're in bed, and then you can, like, clean or put things away, whatever. Like, I feel like, third shift is.
So the way that I have, like, I don't know, it's not a hack, but the way that I've kind of reconciled this feeling of, like, there's no time for me to just sit because I don't, like, I don't just sit down and, maybe I'm envious. I'm envious of dads who can just sit down on Saturday and watch football.
You're envious of 1950s dads? Yes. No, 1980s dads. Yes. They were automated.
No, but, like, so what I do instead is
modern dads.
I have this rule with myself that I get up when I wake up.
Oh yeah.
I get up when I wake up.
I've heard you say that, and
I get up. Like today, for the first time in a long time, I slept till the alarm at 5:50. I didn't really, but like
50 or 15?
5:50. I actually woke up around 5:25, but then I know that whenever I do get up, I'd probably wake my wife up, and there's nothing worse than getting woken up 20 minutes before your alarm.
Oh yeah.
So I stayed in bed, but normally if I get up at 3:30, 3:45, 4, I'll just get up and I go downstairs. And then that's my time.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm the morning. Shifting to become a morning person has been like the greatest thing of my adult life. Like, I saw the sunrise this morning driving in. Like, it was giant pink sun in the back. Like, and I just like saw it going up as I was driving. I'm like, this is beautiful. Yeah. Like, I listened to Bon Iver. I listened to old Bon Iver because he's got a new album coming out. That's why I'm wearing his T-shirt today. So like, I love that. Anyways, that's random, but getting up, find time. There is time, in a way. You have to find it, find it and make it, and sacrifice things like maybe more sleep. And go to sleep earlier.
I'm envious of
future you.
That's basically it. Like, I'm envious of like 55-year-old me.
Yeah.
because thank you for pointing that out. Like, I am doing all of the things to be able to set myself up for a Saturday of football if I want to just sit down and watch football on Saturday. Yeah. You know,
urgency is a trauma response. So
urgency is a trauma response.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Don't resist the whatever moment you're in now.
So what is the value?
The value of.
So we go back to like, you're envious of people who seem to be able to like be seamless.
Yeah. Together, confident. Yeah, seamless.
In all settings. Right?
Like, you see them. Yes, so what's the value underneath that? Groundedness or something, or just like self-assured, like just being so
secure.
Yeah, secure maybe. And I don't feel insecure. Like, I like me. Like, I think I'm great. I've had clients say that too, where they're like, I like me. I'm just not sure other people are going to like me. Is that insecure? And I'm just like, I don't think it is. Because I think like you're just trying to mind read, or like you're over.
I think the more we like ourselves, the
that's
less concerned we are of being like fitting in.
Yeah, for sure.
We're just fine with belonging wherever we belong.
Yeah. Well,
Not
and if
everyone
somebody
has to like us.
Well, if they don't, that's been like the greatest thing of the late 30s for me so far, is just realizing that I still want everyone to like me, but recognizing now that if somebody doesn't, if I have any actual evidence or if they don't like me, that's actually just good information for me. It's good data, because if they don't like me, then now I know I don't have to worry about them. Now I know. And like, I don't want to be
Your microphone is hurt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just good information. Thinking of things as data rather than like
devastating.
Yeah. Like, they don't like me. Trying to hone that as much as possible. So anyways, you're envious of future you.
Yeah.
And I'm envious of future me too, because I see myself going in that direction of being more and more like in understanding self energy, what that feels like, and being integrated in that way. And this is part of it. This is helping podcast, because people are watching it. Just
not
trying to be me.
My dad and his friends at the retirement home.
TBD. Thanks. Thank you to them.
Do you want to pick one?
Yeah, sure.
You pick one.
Okay. Something I don't know about this one. Something I grew up thinking. Maybe this one. Yeah, something I grew up thinking was normal, but later found out wasn't. That's a loaded one.
I don't know that there was much that I was aware of. Like, I think at a pretty early age, I knew that things were not the same for me as they were for a lot of people around me.
Mm-hmm. How's that? I mean, you don't have to.
Oh, like, my mom has dealt with mental illness her whole life, or at least my whole life. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it predates me. Mm-hmm. And so just like the stuff to do with that, of like celebrating holidays in a psychiatric hospital and visiting mom and like going into psychiatric hospitals and like making friends with psych patients. Like, I remember I was young. I was like very young. But I remember going and visiting my mom, and there was this like younger patient who was probably like early 20s or maybe mid, but like, you know how inappropriate it is? It's like this double standard to where like older women can like look at young boys and be like, oh, that's my boyfriend. Oh, that's, you're such a heartbreaker. I'm going to wait around for you. And like that type of energy. And those were like said, like, oh, I'm going to wait around for you. I can't wait for you to get older. And I'm like 6.
Yeah.
And that's not okay for an adult to be saying that to a boy. And we would never tolerate that if it was flipped, where I'm 42 years old and I go to like your 7-year-old daughter and like, can't wait for you to get older. That would be objectively not okay.
911.
Exactly.
You are now arrested.
Yes. Yeah. but stuff like that of like just being.
Luckily, it's not. I don't think women get away with it as much anymore either.
Well, they
think
sure
so.
as hell did back in the 80s and 90s.
Shouldn't.
But yeah, like just, I think that was maybe one of the things of just being so, I don't know, familiar with the mental health system at a very, very young age, because I was like, it was just normal for us to like go as a family and like visit mom in the psychiatric hospital and like celebrate birthdays in the psychiatric hospital and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just kind of like, that's what we do.
Yeah. When did you figure out it wasn't normal? Just as you got removed?
I think when everything, like she came home from a psychiatric stint and like left. Like that was it. And I think, I don't know, something just like blew up in my little psyche at 9 years old of like, this is fucked. I'm fucked. I don't know what to do here. This is not normal. This is not okay. Yeah, that was probably the turning point of me like being like, oh yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. And then what? Then what'd you do? Then you like became, did church become more important to you then?
Oh yeah.
At that point, because you were looking
You're
for
really going in, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
trying to be a hard-hitting. I just listened to Dan Harris's book. I'm trying to become a hard-hitting investigative journalist. No, I'm just
sure.
Or maybe I'm just avoiding answering the question. I'm buying myself some time to think about what I want to.
I mean, do you really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay,
of course.
so,
yeah, I'm honest.
So I was around 9 when mom left and left me with my dad, who was my stepdad, but he had adopted me, I think, a year before. And so she didn't just leave me, she left her daughter from a previous marriage there with my dad as well. So I was 9 or 10. My oldest sister, who was my dad's daughter, she was 6 years older than me, and my mom's daughter was 4 years older than me. So like my dad is left there with all 3 of us kids, and the 2 girls, like they were older, 14 and 16 or around those ages. So like they dipped. They were like with boyfriends and friends, and like I didn't see them for a while.
Yeah.
And then like my dad goes into this depressive state, and he's either underground in the coal mines working, or he's like, I think probably like, again, I wasn't aware of everything going on. I just knew that there was a period of time there to where like, it was like just nobody was there. And so I know that there was a time to where like mom was gone. Dad was also like had a psychiatric break and like shaved his head and ended up in a hospital as well for a couple of weeks. And I'm just in the house by myself. And I think it was around Christmas time, because I remember wanting eggnog, and I just made homemade eggnog out of like raw eggs and milk and sugar.
At what age?
And nutmeg.
Still?
It could 9 or 10.
Yeah, still that. Wow.
Like I remember, like climbing up and like being on my knees on the counters to like open cabinets and reach ingredients and stuff. And it's all like fragmented memories of this time period. But like, I think that was probably when the 2 different protectors in my psyche came to like protect that version of me. One was, figure it out. And I just posted a video about that. Like that has been one of the parts of me that I have come to appreciate the most, is from a very, very young age, I've just had to figure it out. Yeah. And I actually, that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you want to pick it up?
Hurts, yeah.
I'm sorry, my couch.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with my back. It's like just melting.
But so the figure it out part came about that time, and then the other part was the tolerate it part. Like it's, it could be worse, right? At least there's food in the house. Yeah. At least the lights are on. I don't know where I came to that it could be worse conclusion, because I didn't know a lot about the world at 9 or 10 years old.
But you knew gratitude. You were grateful to have food in front of you, and you probably could imagine that some people didn't.
To some degree, like there was a sense of like pride, almost. Like I remember using, I don't know, it's weird, the weirdest memories, but like we had a Schwann subscription, which is like this cold storage food truck, like a freezer section on wheels. And we had a subscription to it, and they would come by in your neighborhood and stop at your house. You go out and you tell the Schwann man what you want, and they just put it on your tab and then bill your parents. And I lived on that. Like nobody was going to the grocery store. We weren't going out to eat. Like my dad was working or, you know, like doing his own thing. My sisters were gone. I was, you know, 9, 10, 11 years old and just like figuring shit out and just living on Schwann pizzas and frozen chicken and stuff like that. But I remember just, it was almost like this sense of pride, like feeling like I've got me, like this, I can figure it again, like I can figure it out. This isn't that bad.
You thought you probably thought like you probably developed some confidence.
Well, it was almost like a Home Alone situation too, where like I was Kevin McAllister in the home and I was like, I can do whatever I want. I can stay up and play Super Nintendo. I can watch TV. I can, you know, I can.
You don't know what you don't know.
I can eat pizza every night for dinner. I can have all the ice cream I want. Like,
you didn't know what you needed, and therefore you didn't. I
was just like,
kids just take what they're given. Like
absolutely.
That's what they, naturally optimistic. You were probably that's probably where that like could be worse thing came from. It was just natural to childhood innocence, like the child brain wanting to believe that everything was okay, just created a story that, how cool is this?
Right. But what that did is that fucked me when it came to like legitimate authority. Because I went through this period of time to where I made up the rules. I took care of myself. I washed my own clothes. I got myself up and got myself to school. You know, like, and so anytime my mom or my dad would try to like step in and discipline or parent me, I would not tolerate it. Just wouldn't. And so then like all of those types of behaviors just kind of went into the shadows to where I just did stuff. I just did whatever I wanted to do, but I was a good kid. I got good grades. I went to church. I still, you know, like was respectful out in public. I dressed nice. I took care of myself. All the while I'm doing whatever I want to do when nobody was watching. And for the most part, nobody watched. Which you interpreted. You took your kid self, your teenage self, like saw the good in that because you had to. Like you didn't want to, it would have been too threatening for you to like think that anything was wrong with. That's why you may, like if the question is like something you grew up thinking was normal, like you adapted to just think your circumstances were normal. I think I adapted to think that it was normal for a child to be so independent. That this is just, not only is it normal, it's like preferable. I get to do whatever I want to do. You grew up fast. Yeah, which I know now is not a good thing. Like now I'm trying to keep my kids as kids. You know, like I try to, you know, like let them be playful, let them mess up, let them, you know, like just not have to worry about money, not have to worry about, and I probably go, my wife would probably tell you, like I go on the, like I swing too far on the other side of the pendulum of like, I'm not real strict about chores. I don't want to give them consequences. I don't want to be harsh with them. And even though I know that giving kids consequences and like, I want it to be all relational. I want them to do the right thing because they love me so much and they know that I love them. And, but you know, like I've got a teenager who's constantly failing at school and it's really hard for me to like, at this point, we're just like, if he fails, he fails. I'm tired of fighting it. But when he was younger, I look back and I do think that I probably missed some opportunities to be like, oh, okay, you don't want to do your homework? Well, like, you don't have this device. And you know, I just wasn't consistent with that. Consistent is not easy. No. For me, it's the hardest, I think, part of. So I think that while I do have some redeeming qualities that came out of that time in my life, I do think also because I don't want my kids to be stressed out like ever, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
For your kids to never be stressed out is like, I either like have very lax boundaries around expectations and I don't hold them accountable to things, or I'll like overcorrect, and there are times when I've been harsh and like, you know, it's, I envy people whose kids are just, we've gotten through all of this. We're on the other side.
Yeah, you envy future you. Yeah. I don't, teenagers, the clients I've had working with teenagers and my in-laws and people that I'm very happy with mine being 3 and 6 in a way, like even despite all that craziness. But I can't imagine my 6-year-old now and 3 years from now making herself eggnog or doing like anything on her. Like, I just feel like they're so...
It's a damn miracle that I did not burn the house down.
It's like, really crazy.
We had you know what a fry daddy is?
I think so.
It's basically a countertop deep fryer.
Oh, yeah. We had like a circle.
Yeah, it was a circle.
Was it black? And had like metal. Like, we had one with just for fries, and it always had the congealed egg gel in it. Yeah, I guess that was a fry. I had one of those.
Like, I would fry.
It always had foil over it.
Yeah.
You used that thing?
Oh, yeah. It was like 9. I was like throwing frozen chicken tenders in there, and then I would just cook them until they were brown. And then I'd pull them out and eat them, you know.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then there was one time where, like, the dog got sick, and we had this, you can't see it, but, like, we had this type of shag carpet, but it was green, like that color green. And my dog had gotten, like, sick, I guess, and, like, shit on the carpet. And I was left alone. I didn't want to deal with, you know, the smell or whatever. So, like, I started cleaning it up. I pulled every cleaning liquid and some powders. Yeah. And I just like combined them all. It was like bleach and Mr. Clean and Pine Sol and Dawn and I just, it was hours and hours and hours of like me rinsing and like sopping it up and rinsing and stopping. Oh, you had no idea. It was like amazing. I didn't start like something like chemical fire. It's right there in the shag carpet.
Breathe in some chemicals of some. Yeah, man, that's crazy. It's a crazy story. But
the fact that like you hear something like that, and if I had a client telling me this is how we disconnect from our own like trauma, if I had a client telling me that, I wouldn't be laughing. You know? Yeah. I would be like, Yeah, it's and I've had therapists do that too. Like, it seems incongruent that you're telling me about this terrible childhood experience, and you're like laughing about it like it was normal. Yeah.
You're like, I thought it was. I'm telling it to you from the perspective of, like, when I was in it, or how you coped with it.
But even now, so again, going back to the whole, like, well, look at where I was and look at all the changes. Like, even now, there's a part of me that is I am aware that there is a part of me that wants to be noticed and wants people to be like, oh my God, you're so amazing for where you came from and look at what you've done and look at how you've turned out and isn't it a miracle or whatever, or like good for you. And I have to keep that part in check a lot.
Is that that's a remnant of the religious stuff you were saying? Like wanting to come?
I was saying it's like, it's the same drive or this same like value of I want people, there's some energy that I get of like tell that story and then like people will look at what you've accomplished and then people will be impressed and people will respect and people will admire.
Should they? Or
I think that it is respectable and it is, but it's also not something that I've like done on my own. Like I had grandparents who were there. I had church people who were good and like took care of me at times. And
that makes sense.
You know, like, but I
don't want to get too proud of too proud of, or too like,
I don't.
It's like trauma
exploiting your trauma.
Yeah, like trauma. Yeah,
exploiting your trauma to like be noticed or whatever. So there's a part of me that like I can even hear myself doing that a little bit now.
Like in this conversation. Well, it's like a crazy story. It's a crazy. I can't imagine now. Having kids or thinking about what I thought about myself when I was 16 and how sure I was of things, and now seeing actual 16-year-olds, and I'm like, you thought you were in love? Like that child? Like, I don't know. it's just, I don't know what the word is for it, but it's it's interesting, right? To think that you did that. And like, what do you think? I don't know. I don't even know. I can't think of a question. I'm stalling out, I'm glitching out. Yeah, it's not something, yeah, because Oprah's story, like Obama's story, like those are like victory stories, right? Of people that like started from certain places and came up. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm wrestling with the idea that that's not something to be like, you can be proud of it and also humble to the fact that you also there was luck involved, there was support involved. Like, it doesn't mean you can't also be like, oh shit, I survived.
Here's the part that's coming in, is that you didn't have it as bad as others.
Oh yeah. Ever traumatized? Yeah.
You didn't have it as bad as others. Like
Trauma Olympics.
Yeah. So because I know that, I'm aware that like, there were people who had it way worse, objectively worse. You know?
Yeah. My friend, Gabby said, she told me like a long time ago, just because it's not the worst thing that's ever happened in the world, it still can be the worst thing that ever happened to you or in your world. So, I thought that was really wise.
Well, you brought up something of like, you can be proud and humble. And so that's a concept that I talk about a lot with my clients. And I think it does apply here. Like, I think we're so scared of being proud because we don't want to be seen as having hubris, right? But we also like, I struggle with being humble because I was taught that to be humble, you actually have to be modest, and those are not the same thing. And so this like being right-sized within myself is being proud of what is true, but also being humble about what is true. And I think that you're right. Like, it's okay to live or to try to live and experience myself as proud and humble. And that's like two sides of the same coin of being right-sized, as opposed to my situation was the worst that there ever was, and you couldn't even imagine. And look at me, which is very narcissistic, but also modesty on the other end of that spectrum of like, well, it wasn't that bad at all. You know, like, I definitely always could have been a lot worse, and at least we did have this one man, and it was actually kind of nice. And, you know, like, to lie about how bad it was is modesty, and to shrink myself down to where like I don't matter at all. So that's a good reminder. You brought up those two terms, and I know that I talk about that all the time with my clients of just be proud, but also be humble. And that's where you find yourself like in the right size in life.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it is related to the idea that I'm describing of being like confident, because to me being confident, or whatever the other word, like I want to be able to just, I did a yoga class last night where the lady made literally one mistake. That's the only mistake I noticed. She made one mistake, and then the class like said, hey, you forgot to do the left side. And she's like, oh, okay. And then at the end of it, she's like, oh, that was the first time you were at my class. I can't believe I'm usually a lot better than that. And I was thinking like, no, you were good. Like, you didn't need to like that. She was great, and that to me was an example of not what I want. I don't want to be someone that is hung up on my mistake or feeling the need to explain like myself. Just being like say less, Shannon. So like saying less, like I can think it like, oh, I made them, but I don't want to make other people feel responsible for it. I don't want other people to feel like if I need people to like me or want people to like me, I can say it in a jokey way, but I also want to make it clear to them that that's not their responsibility. Like you don't have to like go out of your way to show that you like me for me to feel comfortable. Like that's my job to deal with that, right? Like I have to, it's not, or even when I say like that I want to be, like I think of myself as funny or I want to be funny, people usually laugh. And then I'm like, no, you don't have to, I'm not trying to be fun. You know what I mean? But I usually say that try to say it in like a funny way for some reason. But anyways, I don't know. I don't want people to have to feel like they have to perform or they have to take care of. So you're kind of saying the same thing. Like if you tell your story, you don't want people to be like, wow.
Oh yeah,
like,
no.
That was amazing. Like, look how far you've come. You're just like, no.
Well, Yeah.
I don't know if I'm jumping all around.
No, like yeah, like that response does make me feel, or I feel uncomfortable in response to that. Like, I didn't.
Wow, what an amazing thing.
Yeah, I didn't want you to be. I didn't want you to feel pity, right? I don't think anybody likes to feel pitied, and I think some people who don't have that experience. What would be even better is if somebody was like, yeah, I had a time in my life, and like they join, and there's a connection there to where like there's a shared experience as opposed to like, oh, well, look at you.
Dang it. Am I supposed to answer the question?
Yeah. If you don't have to,
No, I know. Yeah, I know.
Something
There's a bunch of things.
I grew up thinking was normal, but later found out wasn't.
Let me think. I'm thinking about people that are listening, so I may not answer the same. Okay. But what was it? I had it for a second. Oh, so my family, my parents are not critical people, and I mean that in like a wonderful way. Like I did not get criticized growing up for much of anything, and that I kind of didn't. What was I gonna say? I didn't like realize how maybe I don't know about rare. Like I don't know everybody's family, but my family doesn't give. My parents aren't ones to like. They don't give aggressive opinions or like tell you you're supposed to do this way. And I remember like noticing in other families, like the older I got, that other parents would have a lot more opinions and like influence and trying to tell their kids, you need to do this, be this way, and like don't wear that, wear this, and like put a lot on them or believe this thing. And that was not a part of my upbringing. And so that's like a really positive thing that I thought I took for granted. That's what I was trying to say. I think I took it for granted. I didn't know that I could have had it any other way. So like my like husband he and I have like totally different childhoods in lots of ways. And he said like, you could have brought your parents like a stick covered in dirt and they would have just been like, that is an awesome stick. Like, wow, so great. And his parents might've been more inclined to be like, did you really put your best foot forward on that? Or like, is that the only stick you could find? Like that kind of thing. Yeah. And so like, it has created some differences in us and like our ability to take criticism, like, criticism feeling like a personal threat. And I'm not saying my parents should have criticized us more, but they were big on like independence and autonomy and like letting us become whoever we were going to be. And like one of my sisters like painted the walls in her room, like all different, handprints and different things, and wrote on things. She was probably a little like manic at some of those times, but like, and she had my others. Yeah, we were given a lot of free, like I could have probably dyed my hair purple at different times. Like I didn't get a ton of, I had an aunt that was a lot more opinionated, who was like my favorite aunt, who I loved a lot. She was like really into fashion, and like, she told me like my eyebrows in the 90s, she was like, they're looking a little Brooke Shields. We need to fix that. And I remember feeling like mortally wounded. She was telling me something about me was wrong, and I had never had an adult do that before. So I remember feeling like upset, but then I also like appreciate that now from like, she taught me how to buy clothes and how to like all the girly, my mom is very not a girly girl. So like my Aunt Carol taught me all these things. Anyways, I would get acrylic nails all the time. And like, she taught me about the stock market, a bunch of crazy stuff, baseball. But yeah, so I think growing up in an environment that like, I felt like I had a lot of freedom to kind of pick and choose who and how I wanted to be. And so I did not, Yeah,
I think that's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think people have that experience, but I don't think that I don't know that that's the most common experience that teenagers especially have.
Yeah. I don't think they had like there wasn't like a real strong, like, this is who we are and what we do. It was very, be a good person, try your hardest, get good grades. My dad in particular really cares about academics and like good college type of thing. So that was like his thing. Yeah. My mom was really all about adventure, and like, she really wanted us to like have fun. Yeah. be nice, try our hardest. So I think it was a wonderful thing, and I'm grateful for. And also, like, all my siblings and I are all very different. I think that was probably a product of that. And I think I probably maybe wrestled with identity stuff into my 20s. I think everybody did, no matter what, whether you were told you were supposed to be this way and it didn't fit. I think the people that are told this is who you are and this is how we are and it fit, and then they never wrestle with that, they just like are that and they continue to be that, are like unicorns or something. I don't know. At least maybe we have a biased population. We don't meet those people in our line of work as much, but anyways, yeah. That's kind of a thing.
You want to do one more?
Yeah.
All right. If my younger self could see me today, they'd say...
What would they say? Probably, you're a mom? She would probably be surprised about that. Didn't know that was going to happen. Yeah, I think mainly that. And I think she would be proud. I think she'd be like, proud. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't know. That's probably can make me cry. I don't even know why. I have a picture of my like child self on my phone. I think you did that too, right? Yeah, I think mostly proud. I think she'd be really happy with me. I think she would be like, you're cool and you're nice and like you're people, like you have friends and people care about you. I think that she would like, my younger self would like all those things. Like that's what she would, you have like connection and community. And you have a good job, you know. She would like those things. What about yours?
Yeah, this was...
I answered it surface, I think.
No, you said a lot of the things that I would say. If my younger self could see me today, I think there would just be this sense of like... relief. And gratitude without maybe knowing how to articulate that. It's almost just like I imagine oftentimes I can imagine like in some of the IFS sessions that I've had with my therapist of there are versions of me that I have like held in my mind and just imagine how nice it would have felt for them to be held the way that I could hold them today. And for just reassure them that they're safe. Yeah. They're okay. I've got it. You don't have to. I'll wake you up. And I think that's why I parent my boys and my kids the way that I parent them. Like I do so much for them. I like if their lights are left on in their room, like it's kind of 50-50 how I'm feeling, but most of the time I would just go turn their lights out. If they leave a wet towel on the bed, I would just go hang it up. Like if I will wash their laundry, I will cook their food, I will clean up after them. It's just because there's a way I'm vicariously I'm reparenting a part of myself in the way that I kind of like. And I realize I probably do more for them than is reasonable at times, and that might come back to bite them in the ass. And guys, I'm sorry if it does. But I do realize that of like, I think that it would just, if my younger self was here, I think he would be able to like sit in my lap, put his head on my shoulder, and take a nap, and just feel calm and safe and at peace in who I am today. Yeah.
Because you would take care of him. He wouldn't have to take care of himself anymore.
I don't think that I had ever made that connection. Because it's been so hard for me to articulate to my wife. Like she highly values like a sense of responsibility. Right? Of if you left the light on, you go turn the light off. I don't care if your shoes are on your feet and you have to untie your boots and, walk, like she grew up very differently than I did as well. And so I don't think I've ever made that connection of like, there's a part of me that like I get to heal and I get to take care of by going and just doing the things for my kids that were never done for me, would have never been done for me by anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
And it can also, acknowledge, can be damaging as a parenting
any
strategy.
Overcorrecting, any of us that, if we overcorrect too far in the other way, like if I overcorrected and became like this is who we are and this is what we believe because if I craved more of that or want whatever, like, we can certainly overcorrect. But parenting is triggering and healing and like revealing. And I've never learned more about myself in the last 3.5 years having 2 children. Yeah. 1 kid taught me a lot. 2 kids like broke me and taught me a ton. Like I feel like completely. Well, I didn't know I had ADHD for one. Like I didn't realize. I thought a lot of the little things were just like. Anyways, that's an episode. That's another. We should talk to somebody about ADHD another time, or we can keep talking about parenting.
I don't know.
I took it on a.
I think this is how I imagine the podcast going.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, not like all of our other conversations have been good, but they haven't felt as natural. Like it's been more like work of like, ooh, I need to. Like we're hosting a person. I want them to have a good experience. I want them to. Maybe
it's the three person thing. Like maybe it was like your people. You knew your people, or because I didn't hang out with them at all. Like maybe some of these podcast people. I don't know. There's like definitely a podcast with 2 hosts.
Yeah.
But did it feel like work because partly that like you're trying to like make space for me to?
Well, I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, like. I don't want it to just be a conversation with a person. I want it to be about the domains, about values, about investments, about that. And so anyways, I think we've been able to ask the question all along the way, and we know what we're talking about. We know the language of like, oh, well, what's the value there? And we automatically know to say like, oh, well, how do I want to experience myself? Right?
Yeah.
Whereas with I guess I'm just going to have to embrace kind of like on the front end of I need to lay the groundwork for the new guest. Of like, this is what we're talking about. These are the questions that I'm going to be like asking you about. And getting more organized and like sending them an email. Like this is what this podcast is about. So
I'm trying to reconcile being natural and organic with structure, with like there's a way for it to come across. It can be present in the way that's like freewheeling and like all of that, and we go any direction it goes, but there's still being like more of the structure and the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good talk.
You feel like it's a good place to stop?
Yeah. Cool. That was awesome.
That was vulnerable.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
I'm gonna go outside for a second. I got some fresh air.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Good job. We did it. We're doing it.